Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Who's got the Monday morning blues? Maybe we all should. I don't know. I don't know at this point. Good morning, good morning, Sherry, Cherie, Naked and Afraid, Copycat. She's a wildflower. Good morning, everybody. So I do want to start doing some news again. It makes me feel better to look at things and to get them out into our community. And I want to talk about something that I was a prior loan officer back in the early 2000, and I did a special about 2 years ago on Off the Wall Prepper, and it was about the fall of the great dynasties. Can you all hear me okay? Can I get a sound check, please? Somebody give me a sound check. I think you can. But the US has been an epicenter of the world's financial circle of trust since 1944. And yet in another crisis, folks, world leaders anchored to the dollar in in the Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, and it was a pivot point away from the British pound. I think that Good morning, Mama Freddie. Good morning, All American. It was one of those things. It took decades and decades for the United States to mature in that. But then, over the last 3 decades, the U.S. dollar has reigned supreme. Everyone wants the U.S. dollars. Good morning, Valine's Kitchen. Good morning, everybody. No links dropped this morning. Thank you. Demand for dollar was never greater than in 2008. The GFC, international payments in the United States dollar, is now, and it was at a very record high back in 2008. Even in crypto, the digital US dollar is still the most successful. But what I want to talk about is when our politicians and policymakers take the trust for granted, they erode the pillars of this foundation. And integrity, reliability, honesty, and transparency has become a thing of the past. Also, I when I did that special, we talked about the Ming Dynasty, we talked about Britain, we talked about the great fall of Venezuela, we talked about the Mayans, and every great empire has came to an end. And honestly, folks, I think the United States, I think we are at the end of the great empire because we are seeing it right before our very eyes, a disappearing middle class. And once the middle class disappears, folks, that does put us into the third world country syndrome. And once this happens, the reserve currency nation's resource constraint of global trust, it slips away. Inflation manifests, which how many of you in the chat right now are seeing record high inflation? We're seeing it from credit cards to the automobile industry felling. And then we have these little moments of hope. But overall, in times of extreme fear spreads, and fear has spread like a skyrocket. I mean, it's been like over the top this last few years. Since 2019, the United States has lost many allies. We have lost our step up to where we step up to help people. Our resources like energy and other shelter in such times becomes very, very hard to handle. Our infrastructure is under attack, and we all have seen it and felt it. One thing I want to bring up this morning is that we were all talking about jihad just 3 days ago. Now, around this country, this great country of the United States of America, folks, a little 6-year-old boy and his grandmother got murdered. Why did they get murdered? In the name of, well, you guessed it. Folks, we're going to see more and more of these crimes, these hate crimes. We have had enough hate for the last decades and decades. I think that each and every one of us needs to realize where this country is going. And we are headed to a total totalitarian government where there is a tyrannical overreach of power. They would love to get the Second Amendment out of every U.S. citizen's hand. They would love for us to have to kneel and beg for a loaf of bread or a glass of water. I do have a little news, good news coming out of Israel. The United States did put pressure on them, and they did turn back on the water for many people that were suffering because there was no water in any way, shape, or form. I think that as we see, good morning, Christine from the land down under. I'm sorry, folks. I always have to, if Christine drops in from Aussie, I always have to sing to her because we don't get to see her that often. But welcome everybody to the chat. I think that as we watch all these things unfold in front of us, hyperinflation, food shortages, people losing their jobs. I talk to a lot of people at my work from all different walks of life. Most of these people are big nonprofit supporters. I'm talking $5,000 to $50,000 a whack. That's what they give on an average, and it's not trusts. It's not anything like that. They give it out of their personal wallet. Many of these people that I've been talking to have told me that the things that they're seeing makes them have no trust in the Republican or the Democratic Party. We have seen more and more things coming out, and honestly, folks, both of these parties, they don't have the best interest of the United States in hand. As we plunge ourselves into another chaotic event, as we send more and more munitions and money overseas and around the world, but yet we can't take care of our own. We cannot take care of our own kids. We can't take care of our own schools. We can't take care of our elders or our vets. And the folks that do have jobs that are the working Americans are losing their jobs. And that's a fact reality. And then we have our elders on Social Security and disability. And it's funny to me how they give them a 3% raise, but yet for all these years they've used their money unwisely, unwisely to dip into for this or that when it was not set up for that in any way, shape, or form. I think the more that we see over the next year to 2 years, and I think 2024 is going to be a very explosive year. I think 2024, we're going to see things that probably will really shake us because I do not think that we can continue to step to the side of the catastrophes. The United States has went from the national, international watchdog to the underdog that's about to get stomped on. We have taken all of our allies and we have pushed them aside and pushed them away. And when BRICS gets in line and they line up their gold backed currency, good morning, Elaine. Everyone welcome Elaine back. It's been a long time. She was under the weather. Everyone welcome Elaine back. Glad to see you, Elaine. But as we see these things happen and occur, where are we going to be in this whole big picture? And that's something that we need to think about. Are we going to be timid and frightened in the corner? Are we going to stand for the American way? Are we going to stand as patriots, truth seekers, Second Amendment believers? Or are we just going to hand everything over? And see, right now at this point, our government's handing it all over for us. And that's what's really rather shaking to me. It's rather shaking. I do want to go ahead and bring this up because I'm sure y'all want to kind of know what's going on over there. That yellow mark right there down toward the bottom is where they actually opened it up due to pressure from the United States. More than 100 trucks waiting to move. Oh, no, that's not the one. Hold on. It's it's somewhere right here. Maybe they switched it right there. Israeli officials confirmed they turned on the water supply to the southern Gaza Strip, and it happened after strong U.S. pressure in the last 48 hours. So, I do say this for the people that are there because, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter which side of the coin they're on. And, I'm going to be honest, and I want to touch on this subject very lightly because, in no way, shape, or form am I for either party of what's happening. I think war is war, and a dozen military vehicles came through. Well, they're probably getting in position. A lot of our reservists have been called up, and I think the next thing that we will see, thank you for reporting that in Pixie Dust. I think a lot of things, what will happen is we're going to see a lot of military action. Good morning, Alley Cat. We're going to see a lot of military action around the country, and reservists have been called up. And the next thing is because our military is having such a hard time bringing people into the service. I honestly believe, folks, that there will be a draft. And I know many of you do not want to hear that, but I do believe there will be a draft. Will it happen in 2024 or 2025? I'm not sure. Um, and I am keeping an eye on the draft situation. There is articles coming out, different um, legislation is being brought up that the Democrats want it, the Republicans think we need it, blah blah blah, and it's going back and forth. So we'll see where it ends up. One thing I want to talk about this morning is on October 16th, the Israeli military said they would refrain from targeting designated axes between 8 a.m. and 12 noon. The IDF will refrain from targeting designated axes. I don't know how many of you seen this, but it was a really sad, sad situation. They actually told them to get on flatbed trucks and to leave the area. And when they left the area, folks, they were purposely targeted, at which left many, many dead as they were trying to evacuate, which they were told to do. See, we cannot trust the powers that be on the left or the right. We cannot trust the overreach. Another thing that I would like to bring up in the military aspect is that as we see more of this occur, we now have two sectors to be concerned about. The interesting thing to me is that all eyes went from Ukraine and Russia to Israel. And the thing is, folks, is whenever they try to sidestep us, and I'm not saying it's not a catastrophe over there, it definitely is. But when they try to sidestep all eyes, all propaganda, all media, everything to a certain location, there's something else going on. And it's usually right here within our own borders. There was a security alert for Rafah border crossing. Israel did eliminate key Hamas operatives, and the U.S. Embassy Israel said if you access it to be safe, you may wish to move closer to the Rafah border crossing. There may be very little notice if the crossing opens, and it may only be open for a limited time. Situation and operational updates on invasion of Ukraine, October 15th, just a day ago, were given by Ukraine regarding the ongoing Russian invasion. That began. Now we're going into the first year, February 24th, 2022. What I want to bring up about this is that we have poured so many munitions into folks, Ukraine. Now they're saying that they are coming up with they want to do a research study to find out where did our munitions land? Where did they go? I 155% agree with you. This is a perfectly well played chess game. We are getting down to the last moves, and the last moves are going to be checkmate, not on Israel, not on Ukraine, but on the USA. This is the great setup to take the United States down. As all of our allies are jumping over to BRICS, as we remember that I did Golden Eagle, I did that special on Golden Eagle that was at the southern border. We had military closer than they'd ever been in the history of the military, doing operations in Venezuela and South America and Mexico. I think that as our border got welded open, literally, the gates were welded, folks. I believe that we had many, many sleepers, offenders coming right across the border to be prepared for our new invasion and what's going to happen right here on our own soil. I think that each and every one of us needs to pay attention to what's happening around the country. Yes, of course, we always want to see what's happening around the world. But what about right here in the United States? What is occurring? And when it occurs, are you going to be ready? We've already seen the crime go up between 700 and 1100% around the world. And when you think about that alone, folks, that is right here in our own country. I didn't mean around the world. I meant it right here in the United States. I'm sorry. But right here in our own country, 700 to 1100% crime increase. So when we see these things happening, do you think that we're going to continue to sidestep the bullshit? Ladies and gentlemen, it cannot continue the way it's going. I want to bring up a couple other articles here that I've been researching and reading, and one of them is there is a bombshell report that Israel ordered their military to stand down during Hamas. When the Hamas was saying that what they were going to do, Israel actually told its own military to stand down. Now, I have not got complete confirmation of this, but this report that's coming out, Jewish pro-life foundation leader Cicely Rotman, citing government sources, claimed that Nutraha ordered the stand down to allow Hamas to launch its attack in order to justify Israel's retaliation against Gaza, which meant to ultimately wipe the Palestinian enclave off the map. Israel is the most sophisticated intelligence in the world. There is no way, and hit a one if you agree with me, there is no way the government didn't know that this was going to happen. They are saying it's confirmed, that they were confirmed to stand down for 7 hours during the Hamas invasion. They sat down with a charity leader, a Jewish charity leader, Cecilia Rotman, who's received intel directly from her Israeli rabbi and other top level government sources. At this point, overall, the confirmation is there that this is a true and stated fact, not hearsay. This allowed the terrorists to come in and begin slaughtering and torturing the citizens. That's what she said. Personally, she said, I think the situation is akin to a family keeping a rabid dog in their home, and then blaming the dog when their baby gets bitten. See, she's saying that she looks at the government of Israel, and they really needed to make sure these people did not proliferate on their borders. And so they held partially accountable for having to kill God's creation in order to secure the border. And she also said this should never have happened, which it definitely shouldn't have happened. Many Israel cities and Israeli towns near Gaza Strip were begging for help from the Israeli police and army, and they were not there. 6 hours after the nightmare started, what happened to the strongest army in the world? How come border crossings were wide open? Now, let's take this and flip it a little bit. And how come the United States of America, our borders are wide open? Tell me that. That is something really to think about. Good morning. Welcome to the chat, Sugar Sugar, Shannon, True Hitty, and many others that are rolling in. Thank you for being here. I think that each and every one of us needs to consider what's happening in Israel could happen so easily right now in the United States. I believe that we're waiting for the Trojan horse. I believe the Trojan horse is already within our borders. I believe that it will be activated when the time comes and when the final word is shot out. I did say this the other day. I believe that when they were calling jihad on October the 13th, propaganda, media, every media station, every YouTuber, people around the world, from newspapers to TV to the internet, was talking about this. So all of the sleepers that didn't happen to hear it when the man called it on the broadcast and they took it down, we all did the free work for them. We did the legwork by putting it out in the communities around the world. Has jihad started? How many of you in the chat really believe that that was the call to action. And I believe that when this happened, right, hit a one, if you believe that jihad has been called and it will continue. It's not something that's going to go away just because we didn't see mass hysteria, mass murders, mass rapes, or other things. They are already starting around the world. In France, there was a teacher that was slaughtered by and in the name of jihad. I think that I would prefer to stay away from the subject because I don't want to advertise for them. And we all probably did. We were all talking about it on Telegram, on YouTube, the national and international media. Everyone was talking about it. I think that this wake up call is a wake up call around the world. I think that we are going to see things happen, such as in other countries where someone walks in with a backpack, sits down at a restaurant, and becomes a martyr and becomes, well, they know that or they think they know they have 13 virgins waiting for them when they get to heaven and they blow everyone up. And that's exactly what's going to start occurring. And it's going to occur more and more. The best thing that we can all do is to be alert, to be aware of our surroundings, because your loved one wants you to come home the next day. Your loved one wants to see you. And one little slip right now could cost you your life. And that's the truth. I want to bring up another article, Mothers Across America. As I work with nonprofit organizations around the world, nonprofits, some of them are very good and some of them are terrible. Okay, I'll just be honest about it. But Mothers Across America is a grassroots movement. They just put in for a research study regarding children's meals. And I'm saying this because I know there's a lot of mothers and parents and grandparents on this channel. And I want you to be very alert and aware of this. So, Mothers Across America asked for a research of the food that was being served in schools, in public schools around the United States. The conclusions were this: over 40% of the foods that are being fed to the children in the United States is poison. It has veterinarian medicine in it. It also has PFAs in it, as well as other substances. These This research study is still ongoing because the Mothers Across America is trying to stop the school lunches from doing this to our children and our grandchildren. So I would say at this point, honestly, if your kids are still in public school, it would probably be a good idea not to let them eat there. 40% is pretty risky when you think of the love that we have for our kids, like I have for my nieces and nephews. I think it's very important that we also look at the recalls of all the OTC medicines that is coming in. Why all of a sudden are all these medicines coming in right before flu and cold season? It's a very good point that we need to realize what's happening when you turn in all those medicines. Where are they going? Are they just taking them to the dump and burning them? I don't think so, folks. I don't think so. Yep. Yeah. And we need to be very alert and aware. I want to thank, I think it was Barb. I bought Ritz crackers, and she said, OTWP, you know that has GMO in it. And well, I want to say this: so much of our food does have GMOs in it. So how do we get around and away from the GMOs? I think that it's detrimental to all of us health wise. And I think the best thing that we could do is start planting our own gardens and seeking out people in our areas, our states, right, that have farm raised, grass fed, non GMO, non hyped up cows, cattle, bison, birds, whatever it may be. I think the floods, earthquakes, UFOs, aliens, jihad, eclipse, fire, plagues, food, all in 10 months. Yes. Woo! Can you name a few more for us? Because it has been a rough 2023. And I mean, think about it, Jake. What's going to happen in 2024? We have election right around the corner, or do we? Will there be another election? I don't know. You know that if we are plunged into WW3, there will not be an election. If we are plunged into a war full blown, there will not be an election and the election will stand down. So I think that's something that maybe that is the case of what's going to happen. And I believe that if that occurs, we are going to have total civil unrest. We're seeing it more and more as good old chia pets have brought across the southern border more and more fentanyl into this country. And when we look at the fentanyl crisis around this country, it is devastating. It is life taking. People are committing suicide. The death rates are up. Our suicide rates among young people, first responders, and military has at an all time high. And yeah, I believe it probably is. Thank you for sharing that, Sugar Sugar. Welcome to the chat. The other thing I realized is when I started buying meat from the farmer's market, this guy actually brought his freezer there and he bought order slips so you could order for the next week if you wanted to, right? He also brought a freezer. But when I got the sausage, that sausage was so lean and so tasty. It was like, where did this food come from? Many of us, I've been talking about it for the last 2.5 years. I've shown the different things that happen in the grocery stores, the things that they spray on them to make them look nice and red. But me and a man were in a grocery store, and this was probably about 6 months ago. And I said, "Do you smell that?" And he picked up a tomato, and he goes, "It's pure chemical." And I said, "Well, isn't that nice?" See, we have a huge, huge breakdown of the food and the food supply chain. According to statistics, this is going to be the worst global famine in the history of the world. Not the history of America, not the history of Asia or Europe, but the history of the world. What I can say is it's very important to think long term. I'm sure right now most of you can go to your cupboards and open it up and see a can of soup or a can of tuna, right? What you need to be thinking about is what about 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or 15? Could you have those type of capabilities? Even canning food is not going to last that long. What's the life expectancy of canning food? 2, 3 years? Excuse me? Yes. Okay, so the lids are only guaranteed for 18 months. I remember personally that my grandmother, she had a root cellar, and that thing was full, and she must have had food down there for 4 or 5 years. And we would go down there and haul stuff up. Does anybody else know what the life expectancy of canning, like pressure canning food, what the life expectancy is of that food? And it has to be the right setting. It has to be cool. It has to be in a cool place. It has to be in a dark place, and those things are really, really important. I want to pull up depends what it is and how stored, but most 1 to 3 years. Yeah, that's what I thought. Now my granny, oh boy, she would eat some she would eat some stuff that had been down there, looked like it had been down there for 70 years or something, but we never got sick from it. But my grandmother was also a very she was an avid gardener. She had a beautiful, beautiful garden. I mean, her garden was unbelievable. I want to bring this up real quick and let's see what's happening because that's another thing. They took our eyes quickly away from what's happening in the Panama Canal. It seems like the big news, it's like, here's your circus peanuts. Everybody look over here. Let me amuse and entertain you. And then it's on to another catastrophe. Now, for you that don't know, um, let me pull this up. Let me see if y'all are seeing it yet. Oh, okay. So, for you that don't know, and I'm going to pull myself down here in the corner so you have a better shot at this, okay? We talk a lot about the maritime. I am prior Navy. I was stationed on San Clemente Island. I joined the Navy in 1983 straight out of high school. And if you see where my cursor is right there, San Clemente Island is in the Channel Islands. I could actually see Santa Barbara Island, Catalina, and I flew in and out. I lived in Coronado and flew in and out when I was on duty. We had a great rotation until we got a new commander, and then it all kind of went to crap. But I want to talk about the maritime a little bit. And what we've been watching is that Long Beach area was a total disaster. There was so many in the port, which is right here. There was so many in the port that they were loitering for months and months out off the coast. Then we seen the situation up in the Aleutian Islands. What I want you folks to notice, and it's still occurring, is that all these cargo vessels are mostly coming up and around through the Aleutian Island area. Why does that concern me? Because the Aleutian Islands has been a major point uh, of surveillance, and the other thing is now we are starting to see an influx of cargo vessels coming straight across. Look at the disaster down here in the Panama Canal as everybody has taken their eyes off of it, right? People have taken their eyes off of it, but if you really look right in here, that is the Panama Canal, and it is a disaster zone. It is a disaster zone, and for some reason I cannot. Oh, I'm not logged in again. Dang it! I'm sorry. So I can't go. I can't zoom in or out. But you can see right here, this is a disaster zone. They have only been letting a few vessels through a day, and so that is something. Thank you, Jake. Thank you for sharing that. That's something that we need to think about, folks, because when it comes to the supply chain, a lot of our supplies come through the Panama Canal. And as that occurs, and they're slowing up all these vessels, what is going to happen to our supply chain this fall and this winter? I think a big, huge thing that is going to occur is that we are going to see less and less items that we need in the grocery stores. And then on top of it, the pricing is going to be another hyperinflation situation, which will get worse and worse as time goes on. So I think that that's really something that we need to think about, um, and be aware about, especially with all the recalls that are coming in. Let me drop that down. I always think that it's good to see and talk about what's happening around the world. I think one of the biggest things, folks, that each and every one of us can do is to not stop, is that we cannot stop prepping. We have to prep not only for weather catastrophes now, but I honestly believe that we need to be prepping for a nuclear war situation. When they did the United States wide alert. How many of you in the chat did get an alert? Hit a one if you got an alert. I slept right through the thing. So there was no alarm, no sound, nothing like that on my phone. There was nothing like that. Good morning, Devil Dog. Good morning. Yeah, prices go up and the supplies are going down. And that's exactly, it's a supply and demand issue. I hope that each and every one of you learn some basic things because one thing that we need to learn is basics. Hit a one. Okay. West Texas, Danielle, nice to see you. Elaine, I'm so happy to see your little face. I just can't with you, Elaine. I just can't. Gosh dang it. No sound on yours. You got to go back out and hit it back. I got sound. Do I got sound, Dragonflies? I believe I have sound. I no, there was no sound on yours. Okay, I got you, Boo. I was like, Boo, I'm right here. I'm talking. You don't own a cell phone. Well, that's probably a good thing. But I think that like even the NOAA radio that we have did not alert. And I really expected an alert to come over that NOAA radio. And we have a very loud NOAA radio. Many times I've been on a live stream when they did our Wednesday testing, and it's loud. This is my concern, folks, is so many people on YouTube and social media, and even at my own work, at my own corporation said, turn off your phone. You don't need to listen to it. So, was this a warning sign to the United States and to all of us that something could occur, something is going to occur, and we are just testing out the system right now? Will that system work? What happened in Maui? Did the system work in Maui? I don't think the system worked in Maui. No system worked in Maui. Did the systems work in Israel? Has the systems worked in Ukraine? Will the systems work here in the United States? Hell no, they won't. So I think that it's very, very important that each and every one of us, that each and every one of us prepares for nuclear in any way, shape, or form we can. One of the biggest things that you can do is to learn about the radiation. The radiation is the thing that's going to get you. The aftermath, the drift, the blast. If the blast happens and you're in ground zero, you're not going to know it. You'll go home with God. Now that's just the honest to God truth. I think that the major cities will be hit. I think New York, Los Angeles, DC. There's about 14 on a list right now, and they said that it's going to go up to 20 to 25. But we have to consider this too. Red alert equals chaos, so we won't get one. Exactly. I agree with that, Nunya. We will not have an alert. It will be going from a DEF CON 3 or 4 to a DEF CON 1, which has never occurred in this country, as far as we all know. And a DEF CON 1 is full tilt. It is out of control. See, a lot of people miscalculate and talk about they know the DEF CON and this and this and this. No, you don't. Um, People have gotten mad at me about it, but I'm prior military. How many of you are in the chat right now are prior military? Hit a one. The thing is with the DEF CON is we could have the Navy SEALs at a DEF CON 2 on a special mission. We could have the branch of the Army on a DEF CON 3 chilling, and everybody else could be on a 4. So it really depends on what branch you're in, what your assignment is. If you are on a DEF CON 1, the DEF CON 1 negative, DEF CON 2, Cuban Missile Crisis, and Kapoor. Shoot, sorry, y'all, my PTSD. It was another missile situation. I'm sorry. I can't. I've had some issues this last couple weeks with my PTSD. I apologize. When it does that to me, my memory slips me a little bit. Not much. So don't think you're gonna get away with something. No, I'm just kidding. Um, but I think that when they did this alert, and so many people said, "Turn off your phone, turn off your this, turn off that," because they're gonna zap us. If they want to zap us, they could zap me right now through my headset. They could zap us each right through social media. They could do the quick blink, um, on our subliminal messages. Do they come through on a daily basis? Probably. So, think about that. So, I think that many people don't realize the technology they have, from the robo dogs to the lasers to the dews. I mean, all these things. And so we have to realize that I think it was a true warning. I think it was a shout out from somebody decent in the government that this shit ain't going to work anyway. That this system is not going to work. You're not going to get notified. It's going to be balls to the wall, on fire, and the United States is going to be erupting around from coast to coast. And that's exactly how I feel about it. I do not believe that any system could reach the majority of people in this country. For one, we have elders, we have disabled, we have people without cell phones. And cell phones, all that is a GPS tracker, and we've all fell for it. You know, feel good about it if you're on social media and you're like, "Well, I'm on the DL. I'm gray man." Look in the mirror, because if you're on social media, you're not on DL, you're not on the DL, you're not gray man. And a dear friend of mine gave me the best words of advice. When all shit breaks loose and you are afraid that you are a target, take this bad boy, go to that train station, the closest train near you, and put this baby on it and let it go wherever it goes. Let it just get away from you. Turning it off doesn't help. Taking off the GPS does not help. And I'll tell you that for a fact. A lady that her husband works for the government, feds, she told me this many years ago when we were in Alabama. She said, "Open your phone." I said, "Okay." I said, "My GPS is off." She said, "No, it's not." She had me enter a code sequence. When I hit that final code sequence that she told me, and I wish to this day I would have wrote it down, it showed a total log of every single place I had been in the last 30 days, from the post office to McDonald's, to the time I was asleep, to the time I was awake, to the time my vehicle was driving down the highway. Every single thing. So don't ever think that you're gray man as long as you have a dang cell phone or computer or any smart technology in your home. It's not, you're not gray man. When you're out in the community, you could go gray man by going with the flow. and that's really important, is to learn to fit in and not stand out. Because when shit erupts around this country, I think it's very important that we implement the gray man theory to be safe. Good morning, daily events. Good morning, Barb. Yeah, but I do not think that it will help the majority of people. Maybe some of us inlanders, that are not on the coast, that are not in a major city, maybe we'll get that alert to say, okay, uh-oh, the West Coast is getting it, the East Coast is getting it. I would also say, honest note, make sure you have a NOAA radio and make sure you have some solar stuff, solar power banks, solar, anything that you could use. We have solar banks for our phones. Get solar bank radio that you hand crank radios. Get those solar items and get them now before you can't, because it's better to be prepared than scared. It's better to have than to want when you really need it. Wow. Did it really, Barb? Wow, shit. So see, on the one, and this was several years ago, Barb, it only showed the last 30 days, but I didn't like jack around with it a lot. I just looked at it and was like, yeah. She told me that the old flip phones and the old Blackberries that's why they got rid of the Blackberries. Is it a Blackberry? I think it was called Blackberry. Am I correct, folks? I think that was the name of it. That's why they got rid of those, is because they could not do that to you. So, that's something to think about too. There is sap phones. I think everybody should get it, be it if it's a low operation or a high operation, high frequency or low frequency ham radio. I think everybody needs a ham radio. Um, we got some foreign job, which a lot of people get, but BlackBerry. BlackBerry. Okay. Thank you, Leslie. Nice to see you, ma'am. Nice to see you, sister. And welcome back to the channel, Leslie. I missed you. I always missed you, Leslie. Um, but it's really important that you get some of these comms in place. Also, just a basic walkie-talkie set for you and your loved ones. Because, for example, say Dragonflies has to stay here and I have to go out. I have to go get supplies. I have to meet somebody. We have some kind of situation going on. She needs to stay put and I need to leave. We still want some kind of communications. And I believe that our infrastructure will be hit, and when it's hit, it's going to get hit hard. It's going to be like the domino effect, because if they only hit one sector, it could affect many sectors around the country. And we all know from the report I did over 2 years ago that the transformers are made in China. So with that being said, when Hoover Dam had their little episode and somebody shot up a transformer station, was that really what occurred? Or were they just testing the waters to see if it was successful? The other thing that bothers me is the report about the transformers was public knowledge. It was very detailed. And then they scrubbed part of it to not show how many transformers we had started buying from China. So that bothers me a lot. I've been digging around to try to find that situation to see how many, if they put it back out to the public, if they temporarily took it down or what. I have not been able to locate that report again. I'm trying to retrieve a lot of things off my old computer so that I can bring back some of those shows in a new way to this channel, since Off the Wall Prepper got taken down. And why did I get taken down? Because I spoke out against the Kool-Aid, because I spoke out against many things, because no matter what, this is a social media platform. If one of my mods could, or a few of my mods could, please drop our backup channel right now. It's a fun channel. It's a OTWP talk show and music. And that channel is OTWP Leaving Footprints. If one of my mods or a few of my mods would drop that in the chat, please subscribe to that channel in case it happens again, that you don't get lost and we don't lose you, because I do care. I care about all of you a lot. And I think as we see things unfold, folks, the best thing we can do is to not be watchers, but to keep on being doers. And that's really important. At this time, the morning news broadcast is over. If you'd like to hang out for a couple songs, you're more than welcome to. And I'm probably going to come back on with a little prep and talk this morning. I'm kind of in the mood. And we all need to stay on point. We need to keep prepping, and we need to think about realistic, down to earth prepping. Not buy this gadget and buy that gadget. Recycle, repurpose, use the things around you, be it if it's a rake, a hoe, a shovel, that is and can be a way to protect yourself. This is OTWP. I'll be right back after a brief intermission. We're going to listen to a couple songs. I'm glad to have everybody here. And thank you. And if you all would start doing me a bigger favor, one big, huge favor I'm asking this morning is each and every one of you, if you're a lurker or if you're in the chat, please hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down. If you can't stand my guts, that's fine too. But please hit the thumb. That really does help channel creators and OTWP Mag. Please, when you're watching other people's channels, hit the thumbs. Don't make them ask you. Do it on your way in. Do it during the broadcast and help these creators out, because that picks us up in the YouTube world and helps share out our message. So I really appreciate it. If one of my mods would keep dropping that link for a little bit, I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh. Don't be discouraged anymore. You'll find the thing you've been looking for. Pick up the pieces off the floor. Just trust it'll be alright. Your heart is lonely, but it's strong. You might be lost now, and it's not wrong. You'll discover the way, even if it feels long. Just trust it'll be alright. Oh, trust it'll be alright. Be still and know you're loved. Be still and know that you're still good enough. Be still and know that your finish line is only yours to find. Be still and know that you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. Yeah, you're gonna make it. Tell all those demons they can hide. They don't know the greatness you have inside. No, stand tall and keep your head up high. And just trust it'll be alright. Yeah. Be still and know you're loved. Be still and know that you're still good enough. Be still and know that your finish line is only yours to find. Be still and know that you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. Yeah, you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. Yeah, you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. Yeah, you're gonna make it. So never give up, you're gonna make it. Yeah, you're gonna make it. Believe me, you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. Yeah, you're gonna make it. You're gonna make be still.
Yeah, Lane, we're so happy to see you back. We really are, ma'am. You know that I love to give you a hard time. But I'm glad to have everybody here. I think that, do y'all like the new setup? Well, this is the new office area. We've been doing some major, major work. So what's kind of cool now is I have my library like directly behind me, which is awesome. And I want to talk about, well, what should we talk about? We should talk about some just down to earth prepping, right? I mean, I think the thing that many times people get like so overwhelmed with is like, where do I start? What do I do? How do I do it? And a lot of people are new to prepping. A lot of people started prepping because of COVID, because they were scared to death. They realized that the world was not what it seemed to be and that it was very shaky, right? And I love you too. I love you too, Elaine. I love you too. And Barb and Dragonflies and Leslie. And I love you all. And I really have a big heart for all of you. I have cried over this channel. I've yelled at you like you were my kids. And I've went off the deep end. But that song is sung, I think it's Hector Gabriel. That's who sings that song, Hector Gabriel. Um, I think that when it comes to prepping, that sometimes we get so overwhelmed with this channel's telling me to buy this, and this channel's telling me to get this, and that person's telling me to buy this. You know what I say? Prep on the cheap. Prep according to your budget, prep according to your heart, prep according to the things that are really important, right? If you have a person in your household that's an elder, or a person that is disabled, or a person that has special needs, of course, I don't want to see any man, woman, or child be left behind when it's a true SHTF, or well, we're already at the WROL. We're without the rule of law. We've already seen that. Now, are we in SHTF? I believe we are. Do I think it's full blown yet? No, negative. But I think that it's really, really important that we keep taking the steps in our own lives and prioritize. And sometimes that priority, and I'm going to be truthful here. Let me see if I can get it real quick. It's down here on the bottom. I want to show you something that me and Dragonflies have done for a while. And we kind of have these set up in different sectors and different ways, which will help you in the long run, because paper copies are like so important, right? This one is the Lost Ways. It's the complete Lost Ways. Every Saturday morning, we're going to start digging into the Lost Ways, which is an awesome, awesome freaking series. This one is a safe water school manual. Um, Pretty soon, I think it'll be done this week. You will be able to access books by becoming a member, like you used to on Off the Wall Prepper, and that's where these books came from. Is from over 500 books that you can download, print out what you need, print out the important things, and use those and keep them. Julianne and Nina, Julianne actually sent me an email, and she said when I have shows and I show different documents, that she actually snaps them off the screen and she started putting them in a 3-ring binder. Um, I think one thing that I want to address is safe water. Safe water is really important. It's life. Without safe water, we're all screwed. Okay, we're all screwed. And Copycat brought up a question about salt water. You're not going to be able to get the PFAs out of the water, right? We're not going to be able to do that. We're going to be able to decrease them, but we're not going to be able to completely take them out. If you can afford an Alexa Pure, a Berkey, whatever, that's great. But if you can't, or what if you do have that system and then you can't get the new filters for it, right? Which we already know there was a recall on the filters. That happened, I think, about 3 to 4 months ago. So if you can't get those new things, the best thing you can have is charcoal. Charcoal is going to bring you out of a lot of bad situations. Charcoal's good for you health wise. Charcoal's good for purifying water. And then if you can't get any more charcoal, what God has given us outside, right? As you see right back here, God has given us some wonderful things in the forests, on the beaches, all over this country, all over the world. And those wonderful things can build up a wonderful water filter. There is a demo playlist, and you can watch that. We're going to be adding a lot of demos to it. Yesterday, if you missed it, if one of my mods would grab it, I made DIY candles. I think that, batteries and things like that, we're not going to be able to get. And when you can't get them, you're going to need to be able to roll. You're going to be able to go with the flow. You're going to have to figure out a way to do it. And the way to do it is to recycle and repurpose. By recycling and repurposing and learning what nature has given us is going to bring you through a lot. I do, and I am a affiliate of My Patriot Supply. They have a lot of good prepping items. They have a lot of good long-term food items that we have. That I don't just talk about it, but we actually have it. I'm going to grab one of these just to show you. The other thing that we've been doing too is that we've been stockpiling seeds because I think seeds are freedom. I think seeds are going to replenish our lives when you can't get. So this is just the box of seeds, and this is the company that sponsored our channel. This is Survival Garden. The thing I like about Survival Garden: one, non-GMO; two, USA; and three, they're guaranteed to grow. And we gave hundreds and hundreds of packets of these away, right? But I think that having garden seeds and having long-term food is going to be huge. And I want to thank Tamra and many more of you that have been sending us seeds. Juliana and Nina sent us some seeds, and I think that when it all breaks out, right, the thing is if you can grow your own food inside your home or outside of your home, the environment conditions may change, especially if we're in a nuclear war situation. You may want to start thinking ahead. How could I plant? What is the sunniest window? What can I plant indoors to give me high vitamin D and a water source? Tomatoes and cucumbers will always give you a water source. Watermelon, water source. Think about it. Those things could come into play big time. I was going to pull out a food bucket, but I'll do it on Saturday when we have our down to earth prepping. I like to wrap up most of the shows with some down to earth talks about the things that we can do, not the things that we can't do. News brings us enough that we're stuck in a disaster, right? But I think the things that we can do is to prepare for the long haul. And the long haul is going to save you and your family, just like it's going to save me and my family. I think the biggest concern we have here on our homestead is water. Um, Myself and Dragonflies have been doing a test, and this is going on our third week with no water, haul ins, and only collecting water. So today we have a huge project. I will be filming it. We have realized that we are losing the capability of two more IBCs. We have a total of three IBCs, which gives us another roughly 1,100 gallons, 1,200 gallons of water. But we have not utilized the other two. We've only been utilizing one IBC for rain catch because I have not had the time, or when I am off, I'd like to have some quality time with Dragonflies, some quality time around the house, enjoy my day off. But today we decided she has a dental appointment. After the dental appointment, when we come home, we are going out and we're moving an IBC and we're making a new rain catch. So I think it was Cherie and someone else that said I would love to see the whole process. So today, as we make the new rain catch, I will be filming the whole process. We've also come to the conclusion that when you make a rain catch, which is really important, and y'all have seen one of my rain catches. Now we do have 55-gallon buckets, planters, 5-gallon buckets, all that, but I want major water storage, especially with fall and winter coming up. So what I want to say about the rain catch is I have pieces of PVC and I have elbows and I have the glue already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the notch on the top of the IBC smaller and tighter so that the PVC tube goes in it, not a piece of gutter, and that it's very secure. And I think I'm going to have like a rubber ring or some type of ring around it. I have some stuff out in my shop that I can actually get to now. And so I'm going to add that ring, bring the PVC straight down through the middle of it, and dragonflies, would you have on my notebook, please, right there? And that way, it keeps it tighter, more secure. And this is kind of the plan. If y'all can see it, that's kind of the plan of how we're going to do it. So that is our shed roof, and we already have the elbows. We have the piece of PVC, and I'm going to have a double run coming into it off of both sides of the gutter into the one IBC with a support beam underneath it. And then down there on the left right here, this is the actual this one right here is the actual IBC. We're going to lift that IBC up off the ground. IBC is a poly tank. They usually hold about 250 or 275 gallons, up to 475 gallons, made of like a plastic polyurethane. Um, and we use them for water storage. We got new ones, Christine, from a lady that was going to Kentucky, and she was picking them up. They run here in the United States roughly to $300 to $350 each, but this lady goes and gets them from a guava syrup manufacturing plant. So when she brings them back, they do have guava syrup in them. So it has like a little syrupy taste for a little while. But once you treat it a few times with bleach, that is gone. And we do run bleach through our whole cistern and rain catch system. Not a lot. Um, I don't even know how to tell you how much to run because I just do it by my gut. I've been doing it for so long. Like I treat a 1,500 gallon with some bleach, and the thing is we're going to have that underneath that IBC tank. It's going to be set up on a pallet. And this is the reason. At the bottom of the IBC, most of the IBCs have a crank, like a water spigot, that's just drip, right? So this was my thought. If there's a real SHTF and the power goes down and the grid goes down, at least if you had that IBC up high enough off the ground, you could turn the spigot on and fill up your 5 gallon collapsibles or your 5 gallon buckets or a gallon bucket, whatever it may be. You also could water animals and plants very easily because every one that I have, the ones that do have the spigot at the bottom, has a garden hose attached, just a piece of garden hose about maybe 2 to 3 foot long. And that way I can water different stuff. This ones that we're setting up over here, yeah, so it's gravity fed. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Rick, is that spigot is gravity fed. The other thing is when you're doing the rain catch, whichever angle your building is setting at, if your building is tilted a little bit, then you want your IBC on the tilted low end so that all the rain that comes off the roof goes down and in. 1 inch of rain will produce roughly 600 gallons of water in your rain catch. So this is the thing. If you have a 1,000 square foot roof, 1 inch of rain will give you 600 gallons of water. Well, we have been losing out on water, free God given water, because we didn't have the other IBCs set up. So we're going to utilize all three IBCs. By the time we get done, I would say probably in the next week to 2 weeks, all of them will each be catching water because we have realized that, like the one that's out here off of the cistern building, we have a 1,500 in ground. And see, many people take water for granted. Me and Dragonflies, we don't here in our cabin because we don't have a well. We don't have turn on your spigot and you're hooked to rural or city water. We are completely self sustaining when it comes to water. So I want to step that up at like 2 to 3 times of what we have right now. Also, on the back, which you can see out here behind me, we have a deck that wraps around. That deck has a great angle coming off the hill from the cabin down. We always collect water down at the bottom, and I've been talking about it for 2 years that I wanted a pond down there. But what I decided, because I cannot right now uh, afford to just go spend money frivolously, I want to tighten my belt. I've been really watching what we're doing. So what I want to do is bring my friend up here, dig a trench going down, fill it with tarp and rock, and let it seep down into there. And then at the bottom, where that angle is, dig out a hole, put buckets, put a 55-gallon container, put a horse trough, put an old canoe, put whatever I can find and get my hands on for cheap because I'm a tightwad, and have that water coming off the cabin hill down into that as an additional water saver. So we are the month of October, while the weather's still decent, and into November. Our goal is to work on water. So you're going to see a lot of water videos about what we're doing. I also have a trapping video coming out about my new bird traps because many people don't realize the kind of birds you can eat and the kind of birds you really should avoid. So I'm going to be doing that as well, which will be an interesting demo. I want to say this, Boo. Many people take water for granted. And I guess from going from the RV lifestyle to the cabin, which is this cabin is this close to being completely off grid, right? It's all right, Boo. Don't worry about it. If somebody would drop leaving footprints again, I'd appreciate it though. Um, I think it's really important that, like, when we were in our RV, we were very limited water. Then we stepped into the cabin because of COVID, and got rid of the RV lifestyle, the nomad lifestyle. But the thing that I've realized is that so many people take water for granted. You turn on the faucet, you leave it running, you don't think twice about it. And instead of leaving it running, what about just filling up some liter bottles, filling up some water bottles, filling up some collapsibles, filling up some 5-gallon buckets for that emergency situation, or having a water bob. If you go to My Patron Supply, I don't know if somebody can drop the link. Let me see. I'll show you the link real quick. If anybody, this is a great sell they have going on right now for a water bobs. They usually are around $40. I gave one out one year for Christmas. Now, right now, they're like 24 or $25. There's the link if you want to snap it or write it down. The link is right there at the top, and by going there and getting something, it really does help the channel. Um, they don't charge you more or anything like that, but they give us an affiliate commission, which helps the channel so that we can play for music and videos and different kinds of programs. I think that it's really important to get on point about water. Even bottled water, you got to realize that bottled water will not stay good indefinitely. I did an experiment upstairs in the loft, which you all know we have the loft that goes straight up. It's kind of like the cat room, right? So I did an experiment, and we have been stowing water up there for since we lived here, going on 4 years. And so I went up there the other day to do an inventory to see kind of what we're lacking in and where we need to step up some things, which I don't know what we need to step up, but I'm still stepping up. So, but when I went up there, I decided to gauge some of the water bottles and what was happening to them. And everybody has always said, well, you can rinse out a gallon milk jug and use it and it's safe, blah, blah, blah. That's the old wise tale that you can't use it. I'm going to tell you this. Out of all the jugs that we have up there, we have juice jugs, 2-liter jugs, milk jugs because it was an experiment, and cases of water, gallons of water, all kinds of stuff, right? I don't think I can put any more weight in the loft. That's how heavy it is. Out of all of the water that was up there, the only ones that were screwed up was the milk containers. I seen two things from eye observation, not doing any scientific tests or chemistry tests on it or a TDS test or anything like that. What I seen is that the milk containers, the gallon jug milk containers, had all seeped. Every single one of them was less than a half full. On top of it, on a couple of them, when I opened them up, they had a funky smell, even though they were washed, cleaned, dried out in the sun, and washed and cleaned again before we put water in them. So, that being said, from my own observations, I do not believe that you can safely use milk containers for any type of drinking water. That's my own personal take on it. From y'all know that I got to see statistics. That's why I live in the show me state. You got to show me. I'm not just going to take your word for it. So I want to say that that's really important. They're roughly $120, Christine, and you can order them from Australia. And not only that, they have 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and a year supply. So it depends on how much money you want to spend. Check out the link, go check it out, and you might find something. They also have a lot of freeze dried meat right now. We're in prepper boot camp here. Yes. So oh, I gotta tell y'all. So I'm on this new workout kick. I actually have weight setting down below me. I just ordered another set of weights. I'm working on my arms, working on my legs. I'm also getting a YMCA membership because that's the closest gym to us, and it's very cheap here in this area. It's very small, but it has what I need. It has a elliptical, a treadmill, and some free weights. So last night, Dragonflies was talking smack, and I have to tell you, since the news is over, she's talking smack, and she's like, "You're really going all out, lifting weights and stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm sitting there on the couch, and I'm pumping weights, and I'm feeling good, and I'm fired up. And then she said something real smart, and I said, "That's it. You are now doing leg lifts, young lady." And she looked at me like, "What?" And I'm like, "We're doing leg lifts." And she, she was dying. She was absolutely dying. I was like, "No, no, no. If you drop your legs, we start over." So she started to drop her legs, and I said, "You're gonna have to do 20 now." And I got her up to 30 leg lifts. So I was really proud of her that she did 30 leg lifts with me because I'll tell you what, getting physically healthy is like really another good important part of prepping. I believe that spiritual mentality, our spirit, our hearts, our minds have to be focused on the right things in prepping. And I think that so many times we lose track of that because we get so sidetracked by what's going on, the propaganda. And the thing is, folks, is we can't change the news that is coming in. It's smart to be alert. I enjoy bringing the news to you, but more importantly, I enjoy bringing centering and spirituality, mental preparedness, and then the things right around us that we can use. This channel originally, when I started off the wall prepper, was started, and my big series was called Prepping on the Cheap. Many of you may remember it. Hit a one if you remember Prepping on the Cheap. And I actually went outside and did like a 5 minute grab of items around me on how could I utilize those in a dire situation. See, I think a lot of times we get focused on, oh, I can only use, for example, this pen to write with. That's incorrect. See, the things around us can have so many more meanings and can be used in so many more ways. But we're so lazy and we're so complacent in the United States. Well, and I'm sorry to say it, we've got our balls smashed and we've got our feet stepped on and we've got smacked upside the head so many times that we're like, we're a consumer nation. Okay, this doesn't work. Let me get 500 more. Stop buying 500 writing utensils because you don't need 500, right? Be thankful for 3 or 5 or 10. Just like I look at my book collection and I'm like, I take my books and put them here. And it's the same with our biblical book, our Bible. You put it here so that you're able to consume it into your spirit. And once you get it locked up in here, nobody can take it away from you. And that's why it's so important to learn skills because nobody can take that shit away from you. No matter how they can put the hammer down on you, you can be like, no, it's not happening today because it's here. And by having it here and having it in your spirit, folks, it's going to push you through. Your animal instinct will come out and it will protect your ass from all the shit you think you couldn't do that you can do. See, I have to work very hard with dragonflies on that. And dragonflies, I love you dearly, but a lot of times people will get into this mentality is I can't do that. I can't do that. It's not going to happen. I don't know how to do that. I can't. You got to change the stinking thinking to positive. No matter what you're up against, I can do it. I'm pushing on through. Even if I fall, I'm getting my ass back up and I'm going to make it. And when you can change that mentality, that thinking, see, as little kids, we could do anything. We were going to be superheroes and presidents and nurses and doctors and lawyers and such. Hey, I know a song like that. But then as we get beat down along the path, the journey of life, we start saying, nope, I can't do it. Nope, I can't go for the gusto. I can't dream bigger. And when you let this old world beat you up and then you carry it along with your path for so many years, it becomes a way of life and it becomes stinking thinking. Being a sales person that I have been for over 30 years, I think the biggest thing I've taught people is never judge a book by its cover. You don't know if I have $5 in my pocket or 500,000. Just because I wear a tattered shirt and a pair of shorts doesn't mean that I don't have cash to do what I want. Just because I don't show off because I'm humbled doesn't mean that I'm weak. Just because I've shed a tear on YouTube doesn't mean I'm a pussy. It means I'm a real person. And see, I think that we really need to get rid of the stinking thinking in our lives. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes you got to throw your hands up and say, you know what? Let me reflect. Let me look in the mirror at myself and really decide where I want to be in this life, who I want to spend it with, and is this person bringing me negativity or positivity? Many of our families, oh the boy, they'll bring some negative bullshit, and they're real good at beating us down throughout life. And there comes a time and a place, and I've had to do this with several of my family members over the years, where I said, no more. You're not going to beat up Kim. You're not going to beat up off the wall. You're not going to beat up KJ. You're not going to beat me up anymore. And you have to take a stand for yourself and find that inner strength because that's prepping too. See, when we get knocked down and frustrated and irritated because we can't learn the skill, or this person tells me I have to do it this way, and this person tells me I have to do it that way, and I'm so freaking confused, I don't know which way to do it your way. Do it your way. Take a little bit of info from this channel or that channel. Take a little bit of information from a book, put it all together and make it Bougie's way, or She's a Wildflower's way, or Southern Mercy's way, because that's what's going to work for you. Not all the bullshit of everybody telling you that you have to do things a certain way. It is the biggest thing for me. If I go to a prepping channel or a survivalist channel and they say, gosh dang it, man, you have to do it my way or you're just going to be screwed, dude or dudette, I'm not listening anymore. Each one of us is at a different level and a different journey. Like I don't have any disabled people in my household. I don't have any elders in my household, but I have animals, right? So we prep for our animals. And I prep for the little old lady down the road, right? But, each one of us is in a different situation. If you have children and you have babies that are in diapers, you better be figuring out a way to provide those diapers for the baby in an SHTF because the last thing you want is your baby to have diaper rash, have freaking some kind of funk, or to be in a dirty diaper because you didn't prep. And ladies and gentlemen, our ancestors didn't always buy disposable. Just like toilet paper. I mean, I'm going to bring it up. Since we're talking this morning, I'm going to bring up the damn toilet paper situation. Like, honestly, I've seen many homesteaders make their own toilet paper out of cotton t-shirts and stuff. Yeah, it's not our way of life. But you know what? When it boils down to it, it's better to know the skill, be able to wipe your booty, right? Clean yourself up, Jesus Christ me, than not. Yep. And I'm very proud of you, Dragonflies. Like last night I was killing her, y'all. I was like, come on, one more, one more. She started to drop, so I made it go to 20 instead of 10, the count. And she was like, you're torturing me. And I'm like, I don't care. Keep your legs up or you're gonna do 10 more. She was like, okay, okay. it was a great, it was a fun night here at the homestead, watching her do her leg lifts with me. You know what I mean? It was yeah, it was funny. Yeah. Oh well, Rick, that's like soft on your tushy, man. Just yeah, she did it though. She did do it. It's soft on your tushy. I was brought up in the heartland. I was brought up around all those cornfields. You wouldn't believe the shit that they do with corn cobs. She did do it. She did do it, and I was really happy that she didn't give up because she did one, the very first one, and I said, "Oh hell no! Point your toes to the sky. You got to feel the burn in your calves." And she was like, "Ah!" And then I was like, "No more." And she's like, I said, "Do it again." And she got into it, man, and she kept up and she kept doing it, and we're like on, I think that health wise, like I have ever since I quit my corporate job and all that shit went down, right? I have not been walking as much as I was before. And I think it's really hurt my meniscus because it is torn. So my goal is to get my ass back in shape. One, lifting weights, doing exercises in the morning at night. And I have to give a big shout out once again to good old Simon Templar. Simon is disabled, but that guy gets up and he works it every single day. Our brother, Naked and Afraid, is now disabled and lost a couple of his limbs. But he gets up and he works it every day. So don't sit around and bitch that, oh my God, I got a big old gut and I can't get rid of it. Get up and do something about it. Because most of us in the United States, we could all use a little more health, a little more exercise. I used to run a 9 to 11 minute mile. And during the Navy, I have to tell this story before I get off here today. Um, it was really funny. In the military, we used to have to run the mile and a half, I was so cocky. And oh boy, this was in the days. I was so cocky is that I would run half of the distance. I would sit down and take a rest break and let the big girls and guys catch up with me, and then I would motivate them. And I always screwed up my time because I wanted to see them make it. I wanted to see them make it. And I guess that kind of came into play with me in the military because I was the athletic petty officer. I actually taught lots and lots of men, women, and babies how to swim. And I also was a chit marker. Y'all probably don't know about chits. So a chit, you get three of them or five of them during boot camp. You could get an extra two if you were good during boot camp in school, if you were like on point. Well, I was the athletic petty officer. So uh, every single night, 7 days a week, they had tour duty. Tour duty is when you got your chits pulled. And when you got your chits pulled, if you got one pulled, you went to tour duty. If you got two pulled, you went to shore patrol. And tour duty was when you did extensive calisthenics and exercises for 1 hour straight, no stopping. I never in my life seen so many guys pass out in their own barf. You know, I'm not shitting you. And so many girls buckle their knees and pass out, except during shore duty and tour duty, shore patrol and tour duty. I think it was called tour duty. But I was a chip puller, so even during the 1 hour extensive calisthenics, that if they were screwing up, I pulled their chit. And so I tried to be lenient because I didn't want to see people have to come back the next night and do 2 nights of that hell. It was hell. I'm talking, it was hell. It was so bad. I seen so many dudes just standing there, just and then all of a sudden to the ground, that it was crazy. And then on top of that, I got in trouble myself, and I was the athletic petty officer, so I was a chip puller. I got in trouble during shore patrol because this gal, she barfed. She barfed freaking everywhere. It was like one of those barfs. Yeah, she regurgitated everywhere, y'all. And then she passed out and she was face first in it. And I was so disgusted. And I was actually worried about her that she was either going to convulse, suffocate, or something. So I rolled her over and I got all my chits pulled for it. And I had to go to shore patrol the next night for helping her. I guess they wanted her to just lay there and suffocate. I don't know. But that's, I'll never forget that. But I also, during Hell Week, one last story during Hell Week, because I was athletic petty officer, everybody else is over there freaking peeling potatoes and miserable, right? It's Hell Week. So every day we had to work somewhere on the base. And I was in Orlando at the time for boot camp and A school. And then on top of it, we had to work somewhere, and we had a test every day, mental educational test, and then on top of that we had a physical test. So it was really hell week. And at about 2:30 in the morning, this is when the military wasn't a bunch of pansy pussies. They would come in and they would shake our bunks and tip our lockers and just give us hell, right? But so everybody is bitching that they're like exhausted. And I didn't know the perks from making athletic petty officer. So when they said, "Hey, KJ, you're going over here," I was like, "That's where I'm going for Hell Week." And they're like, "Yeah, I got to go to the gym for 7 days straight." So my Hell Week was like I was at the R&R. I was at the Hilton. I was at the Hilton. I was swimming in an Olympic-sized pool, cleaning the pool, playing basketball, lifting weights, sitting around cutting the shit with other people that were athletic petty officers, and we had a freaking ball. And we were studying. We were studying for our educational and medical tests. But I'll tell you what, everybody else was complaining, and I was just having a damn ball. And it was probably the best. I got a nice suntan that week too. I was out at the pool like, "Oh, you want me to clean the pool? Oh, okay, sir. I'll clean the pool today. No problem." I'd stay in the pool the whole 7 hours. I'm here. I'm cleaning. I'd be scrub dubbing, going swimming, scrub a little bit. Yeah, yeah. Good times. Good times. I hope everybody enjoyed the live this morning. I've missed y'all. I just had to center on myself a little bit, and I have some work to do in my life, and I think we all do. I hope that each and every one of you keeps doing the legwork. I'm going to take it out with a song. God bless you from here in the Ozarks to wherever you're at. I hope you like my new office. I think it's rather cool, man. We did a bunch of work, so now I'm over here. My bookcase is there. My lighting's all cool. Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm glad that everybody's here, and keep doing the legwork. Don't give up. Don't give in. And whatever happens, remember to get centered spiritually, physically, mentally, and do the things that matter to you. Do your own priority list. Put your own priority list together. Don't let somebody tell you, you got to do shit this way and only my way. No, let's do it our way, our own individual ways. God bless y'all. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I really appreciate y'all. I got the GO. God bless y'all. I'll see you soon, my friends. And big prepper hugs to each and every one of you.
I got nothing to worry about when you're by my side. I got nothing to worry about when you're by my side. I looked out and I saw the rain. I wanted it to go away. I felt the weight of it all come down. I braced from the deafening sound. But you were there, holding my hand. You were there, holding my hand. I got nothing to worry about when you're by my side. I got nothing to worry about when you're by my side. I bled from the wound for at least a year. I couldn't clean myself up. I reached out for the bottom rung. twisted me up.